Welcome, everyone, to today's Town of Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. The date is October 8th, 2020. This meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify us. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, and the governor's March 23, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Chatham Zoning Board is being conducted by a remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 508-945-4410 and then put in the conference ID number, which is 372-685-791, then hit the pound. Despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access, and we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. We will now have a roll call of the members. The purpose of this is to signify a willingness to have this meeting the way we're conducting it and to check in. So I will first start with Mr. Veach.
David H. Veach, present.
Paul.
Paul C. Semple, present.
Buck.
James M. Upson, present.
Megan.
Megan Story, present.
Dennis.
Dennis Sullivan, present.
Mr. Thompson.
David R. Thompson, present.
And I am David S. Nixon. I am president, and I have the great honor to be the chairman. We also have with us Sarah B. Clark. Sarah is a town employee, and she is two things. She's the PPO, which is the Principal Permitting Officer, as well as the Executive Secretary for the Zoning Board of Appeals. I would ask that any citizens or non-board members participating in the call via the phone give us their name and the last four digits of your phone number for identification purposes. The way we conduct the meeting is that Sarah will first read the hearing notice, and then we would ask for you or your representative to present the appeal or application. Then anyone who is in favor of the appeal or application may speak, and I would bring this up, and you join in by indicating on the screen that Sarah, raise your hand or wiggle your fingers or something so Sarah can pick you up. Then when that's done, we would have all letters received by the board. This would be the correspondence, will be read by myself. Then anyone wishing to speak against the appeal or the application or has a specific question may speak or ask a question. And again, you indicate to Sarah so she can see you so we can get you involved in this. Then we would have direct questions by the board members to anyone who had presented anything. Then we would hear any further information. Then we close the public hearing. So sometimes I must say that after we have folks who wish to speak against it, there might be some rebuttal testimony. Then we will eventually close the public hearing, and then we go into deliberation. And the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, no one participates in the deliberation except for board members, unless a board member wishes to interject into the conversation an individual by asking a specific question. We would then have the vote on the appeal. And the way that happens is that you in Massachusetts need to get a supermajority vote. Since there are 5 votes, you need to get 4 out of 5 in your favor to be successful. 3 out of 5 does not do it. Voting today would be Mr. Veach, Mr. Semple, Mr. Upson, and Megan, you will be taking Happy's place, so you will be voting today, and also myself. All votes will be taken by a roll call, and that's it. So, Sarah, let's start with our first appeal, which I believe is 20-056.
Application number 20-056, Stephen and Adrian Princip, care of William F. Riley Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 49 Cross Street, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 15D, Block 89, Lot 62. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a non-conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the construction of additions. The existing dwelling is non-conforming in that it is located 10.7 feet from the northerly abutter and 14.3 feet from Kent Place. The proposed additions will be non-conforming in that they will be located 10.5 feet from the northerly abutter where a 15-foot setback is required. The existing lot coverage is 2,367 square feet, 30.3%, and the proposed lot coverage is 3,123 square feet, 39.9%, where 90% is the maximum allowed. The lot contains 7,824 square feet in the GB1 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Protective Bylaw.
Mr. Riley, before you speak, Mark, my screen has gone completely dark.
I have that effect on things.
Yes, you do, Mr. Riley. You're absolutely right. At any rate, I just wanted Mark to know that. So please proceed, Mr. Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I represent the Principes and their proposed change. The architect on this project is Karen Kempton. And I did want to make one correction in Sarah's opening. The original garage that's to be removed is 10.7 feet from the northerly abutter. The addition will be 15.5 feet from the northerly abutter. So if I sent the wrong information in Sarah, I apologize for that. In any event, we have, so this is a GB1 zone. The lot is 7,824 square feet. The existing building coverage is 15.5%. Generally in the GB1 zone, building coverage doesn't matter because they concentrate more on lot coverage and anticipating commercial use. The proposed coverage is 21%, but if you look at you have the site plan up there. Yeah. Okay. So as you can see, they've maintained the same line of the house on the northerly side, and on the southerly side, although they have a little connector there that's close to the street, the principal part of the addition is 26 feet back from 25 feet back from the street. So they've worked hard, Karen has, and the Principes have to minimize the impact on the neighboring properties. Karen, if you're available, if you would explain the design and how we got to this location.
This is Karen Kempton. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. The Principes had three main goals when we discussed renovating their house. Number one, they wanted a larger kitchen, dining area space, and a more open floor plan. Sarah, do you have plans of these? Yeah, you do. So can you scroll through the first floor plan? So as you can see, it's a pretty small footprint, very small kitchen, and segmented rooms. The second floor, if you can scroll down to the next floor, just has 2 bedrooms. There are presently 4 kids in the bedroom on the left, and Adrian and Stephen use the bedroom on the right, and they all share that small bathroom. And if we pull up the site plan now. The second item they wanted to do was better access into the house from the rear driveway. Presently, the rear driveway slopes down from Kent Place 4 feet. So as they walk around to the house to get into the existing house, they have to walk through the basement. and then up a set of stairs to the first floor. With the main focus, let's see, what's the other one? Oh, and the third item that they wanted was a new master bedroom suite addition, obviously to spread out a little bit on the second floor. With also the main focus on all of these areas to keep the house charming from the two streetscapes, sides, Cross Street and Kent Place. The thought was to use an addition to the rear that would allow for a larger kitchen, better entry from the existing driveway entrance, and have the master bedroom above as an extension of the second floor space. So if we can go to the new first floor plan. There you go. The addition aligns with the north side of the house, and due to the angle of the property line, the addition meets the sideline setbacks. It was important to the family to have access into the house from this side and access to an outdoor shower. So a small outside shower and landing was added on the north side. So you can see on the left side of this that the landing and the staircase up on the left side is within the setback where the garage used to be. But it's an important access into the house to have that there so that they can come up and into the mudroom on that side. Fill would be added to the rear to bring the grade up to both the driveway and the backyard space to allow entry into the first floor. So where the patio space is now, that would be brought up 4 feet so that it meets the first floor and is also in line with the streetscape and the grade on Kent Place rather than in a hole. As Bill mentioned, there's a 3-foot wide addition on the south side, which has an angled bay wall to soften the corner, and it's reminiscent of the original bay window that is there. We can go to A1, go back. Yep. So if you look at the bottom, which is the right side elevation, you can see that 3-foot extension is the bay window, and then beyond that is the second floor addition. The new dormer and windows would align with the existing dormer, and the new ridge would be lower than the existing ridge. So you can see that new dormer, which faces you on the right elevation, that the eave aligns with the existing dormer eave, and the ridge of that aligns with the dormer ridge. Even though the new dormer wall is only 5 feet 8 inches tall, we felt it important to keep them low, so to keep the charm factor of the older house. A2 shows the outdoor shower and the deck. So you can see the stairs going down to grade. This is side access for coming back from swimming to get into the house and upstairs to the first floor. A3 shows the kitchen and the mudroom addition. Basically, the existing kitchen is where that dining room table is. So they needed much better utility of space and allows for a nicer entry to the house off of the patio. A4 is the second floor plan, and the front 2 bedrooms are remaining the same. Kids will now be able to spread out into the 2 bedrooms with mom and dad going into the back new master bedroom. The laundry will be moved up from the unfinished basement into a laundry room on this floor as well. And a new bathroom will be added so that they're all not sharing one small bathroom. We hope that you agree that this addition is nice and is keeping in with the charm of the neighborhood while allowing this young family some much needed living space and better utility of the house outside space with the new grading.
Well, thank you, Karen. Mr. Chairman, I'll go through the criteria now.
Very good.
Okay, adequacy of the size of the site, including but not limited to maximum lot and building coverage and setbacks. So the, as you are aware, I believe, the when you build a single-family residential structure in a GB1 zone, we have different setbacks than we have for commercial buildings. So the front yard setback is 25 feet, which we happen to meet coincidentally, and the sideline setbacks are 15 feet. And as you can see, from the northerly boundary, the existing building at the rear where it joins the addition does meet that. So our proposed addition meets the setback from both the north and south streets, with the small exception of where the angle bay meets the existing house. And the lot coverage, it's a small lot, so we're going from 15.5 to 21. But because of the way Karen has designed it, I believe that this coverage is certainly not overwhelming, and Karen's plans didn't have a roof height on it, a ridge height, but I think that the building is quite modest and certainly isn't particularly tall. So I think that from that, in that aspect, there's no harm. The compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. Prior to, a couple of days ago, I had all the neighboring properties all listed out with their areas and all, and as I usually do. Unfortunately, I then spent some time with somebody who tested positive, so I'm quarantining, so I can't get back to my office to get that information. But in general, this structure is considerably smaller than most of the structures around it. And directly across the street, of course, we have what was formerly known as the Cyrus Kent House, which is a 10-bedroom antique, 3 stories high, and across the street, across Cross Street, you have the old Bradford Terrace and all those condos that were built there. And all those structures are considerably larger than this structure with its addition. So I would say we're compatible because to the extent it's compatible today, it's still going to be a small structure, but certainly isn't overwhelming the lot. The extent of the proposed increase in the non-conforming nature of the structure or use, principally, lot coverage or building coverage is going up from 15.5 to 21%. That's not a requirement. I mean, when you have a single-family residence in a GB zone, you have to meet the setbacks that I mentioned, but there's no requirement regarding the building coverage. So, although we're going from 15 to 21, and theoretically, we're only at 40% coverage on the lot. So we would have a long way to go if we wanted to make it larger without exceeding the coverage limitations. Suitability of the site, including but not limited to its impact on neighboring properties. This is really, is this site suitable for the construction that's intended? And I believe because as you saw from the plans, most of the grade on the lot is below street level, so we're not going to have any runoff on anybody else's property. And so I think from that point of view, the site is suitable for the proposed construction. The impact of scale, siting, and mass on neighborhood visual character, including views, vistas, and streetscapes. I think, at least I hope we all agree that the Karen's design, which remains true to the design of the existing structure, and it certainly doesn't overwhelm it, improves the streetscape, or certainly is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. And there are no views or vistas. It's just a streetscape issue. And of course, the street is Kent Place, which is not what I'd call one of the most heavily traveled street in the town. But I think you could clearly find that it's not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Compatibility of the proposed use with neighboring uses. Although we're in a GB1 zone, all the uses on Cross Street, once you get past the town offices and the church across the street, are all residential uses. So I would say our use is compatible. And most of them are some sort of multiple family use, but on our side of the street is basically single family homes. The adequacy of the method of sewage disposal, we're on the town sewer, and our utilities are just fine. And we have internet, which is really all that matters anymore. Impact on traffic flow and safety. We actually think the raising the driveways is going to increase safety, because it'll be easier for people pulling out of the property onto Kent Place to be seen, and also to see potential cross traffic. And then noise and litter, we don't think there's any difference there. And all the services and utilities are adequate, we would say. So I think we could easily find that this proposal is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this? If so, please indicate to Sarah now that you would like to speak.
I see no one.
Okay, and then we'll go to the correspondence. The first we have is from Judith Giorgio. She is the health agent, and she writes on October 6th, I have reviewed the plan to renovate the property. Our records indicate the existing dwelling is currently connected to municipal sewer. The plan as proposed will add one bedroom to the property and will require approval by the sewer department for the additional flow prior to construction. Then we have a certificate of appropriateness. This is from the Historic Business District Commission. And they voted 4 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstaining, that to approve it. And their standard condition is any changes or alterations to the certificate of appropriateness require additional approval by the HBDC. Then we have a letter. This is from John and Katie Dalea, 43 Cross Street. On October 1st, we're writing to ask the board to give its approval for Steve and Adrian. Special permit request to construct a new addition to their home. As the immediate abutters to the north and most affected by this request, we believe that the proposed addition is in keeping with the character of the existing house and neighbor and will be a welcome addition to Cross Street and Kent Place. Thank you for your consideration of our letter of support. Then we have a letter dated September 24th. This is from Steve and Margaret Heck. Their address is 15 Shattuck Place. They write, we are the owners of 15 Shattuck Place, just around the corner. We have owned our home since 2014 and enjoy living in the neighborhood. We've reviewed the proposal and support the requested relief. We hope the board will unanimously approve the special permit. Thanks for taking the time to read our letter into the record. Then we have an email. This is dated September 24th. It's from Robert MacDonald, 11 Shattuck Place. Dear members of the board, as the owner of 11, I feel that the Cross Street Shattuck Place neighborhood is a special character. My home was before your board several years ago for approval of a renovation and addition proposal. I have reviewed this proposal to do the same to the home, and I'm writing to the board now to lend my support for their special permit request. Then we have another email September 25th. This is from Joyce and Crestman. They are at 44 Cross Street. We've recently reviewed the proposed house and site plan for our neighbors and think the proposed renovation will be a wonderful addition to the neighborhood. We have lived directly across the street for 2 years and previously next door at 19 Kent Place from 2003 through 2018. Steve and Adrian's home is in a great location and their proposed plans can only add to the character and enjoyment of our downtown neighborhood. We wholeheartedly support their proposal. We hope the board will approve their permit so they may renovate their home to best utilize and improve their indoor and outdoor living space as requested. Then we have a letter dated September 26th from Chuck McQuaid, 66 Cross Street. I've been the owner of 66 since 2018 and have reviewed the plans for the reconstruction of 49 Cross Street. I'm writing to the board to state I have no objection to the special permit request to construct their new addition. As a resident diagonally across the street, I believe the proposed construction will be a welcome addition to the Cross Street neighborhood. It's a wonderful neighborhood and it becomes even more attractive as the older homes are updated and enhanced while keeping with the character of the town. Thank you for your consideration of my letter. And then lastly, we have a note. This is from Robert and Trudy Cushing. They write, they're at 71 Cross Street. They write on September 27th, we're the owners of 71 Cross, few houses down, own the home since August 2016. We reviewed the proposed addition plans and support the requested relief. We believe that the addition will be an improvement to the neighborhood and hope the board will act favorably on their appeal. Thank you for your consideration of this matter. I would now ask for anyone in the audience who wishes to speak either against this or has a specific question to indicate to Sarah now that you would like to speak.
I see no one that would like to speak in opposition.
Okay, very good. So now we'll have questions from the board. Dave Veach,
I have, Dave Veach has no questions.
Paul,
Paul Semple has no questions.
Buck,
Fuck, no questions.
Megan,
Megan Story has no questions.
Dennis,
Dennis Sullivan, no questions.
Mr. Thompson.
Dave Thompson, no questions, sir.
Okay, and I have none. Paul, a motion?
This
Mr.
is
Chair?
Paul Semple.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, this is Sarah. Before you go into deliberations, I did just want to point out the reason for the 10.5-foot setback as proposed is due to the deck and stairs on the northerly abutter. The house is 15.5 feet, but the deck and stairs at their closest point are 10.5.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Paul, back to a motion.
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, we need a vote on that. Dave Veach,
Veach votes yes.
Paul,
Semple votes yes.
Buck,
Upson votes yes.
Megan,
Story votes yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, deliberations, Paul.
This is Paul Semple. I think the proposal looks very good. It looks like it has great neighborhood support, and I think it is clearly not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Buck,
I'm here, Dave. 6 letters of support from the neighbors plus a very nice design. I'm in favor of it.
Megan,
I completely agree. It's nice to see that many letters of support. I totally agree.
Dennis,
Yes, Dennis Sullivan, if I were voting, I certainly would vote in favor of it.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes, Dave Thompson, definitely in support. A great addition to the neighborhood. It's a Karen Kempton design. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Dave Veach,
Yes, I concur with all the previous, certainly not substantially more detrimental and a real improvement.
and I would agree wholeheartedly with everybody. Okay, Paul, do you think we need any sort of conditions on this?
Well, I think this is Paul Semple. I think it's a very tight area, and obviously we don't want any construction vehicles on Kent Place during the construction, I wouldn't imagine. So I'm thinking that the normal construction activities and June 30 to Labor Day activities would be appropriate.
Anyone else that want to weigh in that? Okay, I take that as everyone's in agreement. All right, Paul, we need a motion, please.
All right, this is Paul Semple. I'll move to approve the application as submitted, subject to the following conditions: that all construction activity and vehicles to be contained on site. Between June 30th and Labor Day, no exterior construction will be allowed. No work shall be permitted on the weekends. Construction activity between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. only.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, we'll now vote. Mr. Veach,
Veach votes yes.
Mr. Semple,
Semple votes yes.
Mr. Upson.
Upson votes yes.
Okay, Megan,
Story votes yes.
and I vote yes. So that is a unanimous vote. Thank you very much, Mr. Riley.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Our next application is application number 20-057, John and Laura Keating, care of William G. Litchfield Esquire, 330 Orleans Road, North Chatham, Mass. 02650, owner of property located at 95 Skyway, also shown in the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 10F, Block 11, Lot R5. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a non-conforming dwelling in a non-conforming lot via the reconstruction and extension of a deck and the construction of a roof deck. Also proposed is the construction of stairs, landing platforms, and a seasonal dock as allowed by special permit under section 4A3A of the protective bylaw. The existing dwelling is non-conforming and that it is located 21.3 feet from the Inland Conservancy District. The proposed deck will be non-conforming and that it will be located 22 feet from the Inland Conservancy District, where a 25-foot setback is required. The building coverage will remain 2,611 square feet, 15.6%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming in that it contains 16,770 square feet of buildable upland, where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Sections 6 and 9, and Sections 5B and 8D2B of the Chatham Protective Bylaw.
Mr. Litchfield.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Bill Litchfield here on behalf of John and Laura Keating. With me also are Mark Burgess of Shorefront Consulting and Dan Croto of Moran Engineering. As Sarah read, Mr. Chairman, this petition has two aspects, both the change of a non-conforming structure on a non-conforming lot and a generic special permit. I assume that you would like me to go through the criteria together. Is that correct, sir?
That would be correct.
Thank you. The Keatings have owned this property for a number of years now, and I know that you all went out there. And if you attempted to go down the existing at-grade steps, you took your life in your hands and you did something that I haven't been willing to do. As you know, there are steps that go down to White Pond, and as shown, oddly enough, on the plan that Sarah just put up, the existing at-grade steps not only are very difficult to maneuver, they also emerge at the pond on the neighbor's lot, for which there's no easement. They've probably been there since before they've been there for a very long time, but they are in need of improvement. So what the Keatings would like to do is to build a staircase rather than the at-grade steps. And they would also like to have a small 20-foot long removable aluminum seasonal dock in White Pond, which would prevent the need. If you went down, as you probably did, on the right-hand side of the garage, you saw the kayaks and the other watercraft there. Right now, they drag them down the hill, which they're willing to continue to do, but then they drag those kayaks through the bordering vegetated wetland, which is not a good thing to do. And having the small seasonal dock will prevent the need for that. And I misspoke when I said a deck instead of dock, but there are two decks involved as well. As shown on that plan, as you saw when you went out there, there is a deck which runs halfway across the house and the Keatings would like to even it out and expand it further to the north. And although it's completely within a footprint, they'd like to put a roof deck on the existing sunroom to the south of the existing deck. So with that, I'll go into the criteria. And of course, Mark and Dan are here to answer any questions you have or amplify what I have. As to adequacy of site, including building coverage and setbacks, we have a half-acre site, which is typical of the neighborhood, notwithstanding the proximity to the top of the bank. Coverage is less than 11% of the entire lot, and it won't change under this proposal because the two aspects of it don't have anything with roofs over them. If you approve the special permit, you can do so based on a finding that the site is adequate for the expanded deck and the deck above on the current footprint, and that this coastal site is both adequate and appropriate for replacing the at-grade steps with a safer set of stairs and a dock down below. As to compatibility of size with the neighborhood, the lot conforms as to size. The house won't change, but it is comparable to others in size on the water side of the street. It's actually smaller than most of them. If you approve the special permit, it will remain compatible. There's no change again in the size of the house. The decks, the stairs, and the dock aren't size issues, but they're without impact on essentially anyone because they're not visible from the street. That is a view of the proposed roof deck on the left-hand side on the existing footprint and the extended deck to the right-hand side. Thank you, Sarah. As to the extent of increase in nonconformity, we currently are marginally too close to the Conservancy District, 21.3 feet, and our buildable upland is just short of the 20,000 square feet that we need under the current bylaw. If you approve the special permit, there will be no change in coverage, no change in nonconformity. The decks are less nonconforming to the top of the coastal bank. The stairs and the dock are not nonconformity issues. They are instead allowable special permit uses rather than non-conforming uses. As to suitability of site, impact on the area, slopes, the natural environment, the pondfront lot has supported a house since 1991. The steps have existed for a very long time, but are in very poor condition. And again, they encroach on the neighbor's property. I think you can find the site to be suitable for the small additions up on the house of the deck. Conservation Commission has heard this matter. For their own internal reasons, they decided to separate the additions to the house from the dock. They have already, the chair will read a letter of comment. They have essentially approved the decks, the stairs, even though we think they're an environmental improvement, are still under review. But I think you can find that they are an environmental improvement over the at-grade steps. The seasonal dock with access steps over it as required for public access along the White Pond shorefront is better than dragging kayaks through the bordering vegetated wetland. Scale, sighting, mass, views, vistas, neighborhood visual character. We have a relatively modern house in a rather isolated area. It's near the end of a cul-de-sac, formerly known as the dead end. The matters under consideration have no impact on scale or mass, no impact on neighborhood visual character. If you approve the special permit, the scale will be unchanged. All of the aspects of the proposal are at the rear of the lot. The decks can't be seen, nor can the stairs or the dock, except, I suppose, from the seaplane base that we have in White Pond, but we've had no complaints in that regard. As to compatibility of use with surrounding land uses, it's strictly a residential use. And of course, water-related accessory structures are not at all unusual for waterfront properties. Many others have them, and we think that you can find that it is indeed compatible. As to adequacy of water and sewer, obviously no issues there. Drainage is an issue of the special permit itself, and there will be no significant change, but the mitigation planting shown at the top left of that plan in green will actually minimize drainage issues. They will improve it, and the at-grade steps will remain and allowed to deteriorate rather than being removed. So the other criteria, noise, litter, utilities, are not an issue. What is an issue are two things. First, whether the proposed small addition to the deck and the deck above is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the current non-conforming structure. I think that you can find that they are not at all detrimental, given the criteria in the plans and the relatively small scale of the deck. As to the other special permit, we are asking you to make a finding that the stairs and the small seasonal 20-foot long dock will not be detrimental to the established or future character of the neighborhood. I know you're very prescient in that regard. And that the use involved will be in harmony with the general purpose intent of the bylaw, which of course makes provision for allowance of these structures by special permit. I think you can make that finding. Mark, Dan, and I would certainly be happy to answer any questions, and we appreciate your hearing us.
Thank you, Mr. Litchfield. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor? If so, please indicate to Sarah now.
I see no one that would like to speak in favor.
Okay, I'll read the correspondence. First, we have dated 10/6, a note from Judith Giorgio from the Board of Health. I have reviewed the plans to add a deck and extend the existing deck at this property. The deck will not encroach on the existing septic system, nor will it add septic flow to the property. I have no concerns about this project. And then we have a note. This is from Callie Harper. She's the conservation agent. She writes as follow on October 8th. She says 95 Sky Way. Representatives for this project submitted 2 separate notices of intent. For 1, proposed construction of a second-story sunroom, reconstruction and expansion of existing deck, consolidation of retaining walls and mitigation. And 2, proposed installation of a set of timber access stairs with a midway platform and landing, proposed second set of stairs down to a seasonal aluminum dock. The Conservation Commission approved number 1 listed above with special and general conditions. Number 2 listed above, the installation of the stairs, platform, landing, and dock was continued to the hearing on October 14th. That's the extent of the correspondence. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak either against this or has a specific question? If so, please indicate to Sarah now.
I see no one that would like to speak in opposition.
Okay, now we'll have questions from the board. Buck, can we start with you, please?
Yep, I have no questions.
Megan?
I do not have any questions at this point.
Dennis?
Dennis Sullivan, I just have one question for Bill. Has he had any conversation with conservation about the dock, and can he just fill us in what he thinks they're thinking about?
There. This is Mark Burgess. I might be able to address that.
Okay, Mark, very good.
Thank you very much. The access stairs are pretty standard. I don't think they had any issues with them. The board wasn't completely familiar with freshwater docks, and they had a number of questions regarding, for instance, it rests on the ground. There's no pilings that are driven into the ground. It just rests on the ground. It's all aluminum. It's all inert, and the whole thing gets removed each year. It could be stored on the landing. The lower landing, there's enough room to store it there, or if they want to be ambitious and hollowed up the steps, they can do that too, because each section weighs about 150 pounds or less. So questions like that were given. They were going to wait and see if Ted Keon had any comments, and he deferred because it was a freshwater dock. He wasn't that familiar with them, and I'm paraphrasing. But so I think they were just waiting to get some more comments. But the questions were minimal. They were all addressed. And I expect, we expect an approval at the next hearing.
Okay, thank you. Mark,
Yep.
Dennis, did that answer your question?
Yep, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Dave Thompson, any questions?
No, Mr. Nixon, no questions.
Dave Veach,
David Veach has no questions.
Paul,
Paul Semple has no questions.
and I have none. Okay, Paul?
Paul Semple, I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, David Veach, how do you vote on that?
Veach votes yes.
Paul,
Semple votes yes.
Buck,
Buck votes yes.
Megan,
Story votes yes.
and I vote yes. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Bill Litchfield, I apologize for having disappeared. Mr. Burgess responded for me and he did well, and I apologize for that. I am
No,
back.
that's all right. That, we thought you did that on purpose, so there you go. That's okay. All right, so, deliberations. Let's start with Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Nixon, I'm in favor of this. It's a no-brainer.
Okay. Dave Veach.
Yes, I am in favor of this. I certainly the steps and landings and proposals for going down the bank is certainly an improvement over what's there, and I can't help but believe it's going to be better, certainly better for the property owners, but also for the environment in general. I don't think there's much doubt about that in my mind. There's nothing here that's substantially more detrimental, and it meets all of our criteria, and I will support.
Okay, Buck.
Well, I believe neither the decks or the steps are detrimental to the neighborhood by any stretch. And the safety benefits of the new steps and stairs makes good sense over the built-ins, so I support it.
Megan? Megan, are you there?
Oh, yes, now I can hear you. That was very strange. I support it as well.
Okay, thank you. Dennis?
Yes, if I were voting, I certainly would support it. Both. It's a nice project.
It's a nice project,
And
and it certainly improves the environment.
Paul?
Yes, this is Paul Semple. I agree. I took a look at the site and it's quite a steep drop off there. It'll be a workout coming up and down those stairs. I thought in part maybe a chute just going straight down would be the best way to handle going down. The problem would be coming up. So I think that the ducts certainly are not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, and I believe the dock and its location meet all of our criteria.
Does anyone think that we need to condition this in any way, shape, or form?
This is Paul Semple. I don't think conditions are necessary. There's not a lot of traffic on that road. You could presumably have some construction vehicles on the outside of the road there. The driveway when I was there was occupied by 2 pickup trucks, so I'm not sure there's an awful lot of room there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, anyone else have a condition thought?
I don't think there's any need for conditions. It's certainly, if I'm not mistaken, it's not heavily traveled at that end of the street.
I think you're right. Okay, so let's proceed. Now, I believe we need 2 votes. Is that correct, Sarah?
That would be correct. We need one under section 5B and one section under 8D 2B for the dock and stairs.
Okay, so Paul, could you make the first one, please?
Yes, so this is Paul Semple. I'll move to approve the application as submitted for the special permit under 5B.
Okay,
David Veach seconds.
All right, we'll vote on that. Mr. Veach,
Veach votes yes.
Paul,
Sample votes yes.
Buck,
Buck votes yes.
Megan,
Story votes yes.
and I vote yes. That's a unanimous vote. Paul, would you please make the second?
Yes, I'll make a second motion to approve the application with respect to the dock and section 8D2B of the protected bylaw.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, Megan, how do you vote?
Story votes yes.
Buck,
Buck votes yes.
Paul,
Sample votes yes.
Dave Veach,
Veach votes yes.
and I also vote yes. So again, that is a unanimous vote. Thank you very much, Mr. Litchfield.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, Sarah, 20-058.
Application number 20-058, Morgan Family Trust, care of Ben Morgan, P.O. Box 1748, West Chatham, Mass. 02669. Owner of property located at 187 Round Cove Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 7J, Block 36, Lot C 276. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the demolition of the existing dwelling and construction of a new dwelling. The proposed dwelling will comply with all bulk and dimensional requirements of the bylaw, but is considered a substantial alteration, and under the second except clause of Section 6 of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, such substantial alteration requires the grant of a special permit. The existing building coverage is 1,761 square feet, and the proposed building coverage is 2,534 square feet, where 3,000 square feet is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming in that it contains 100 feet of frontage, or 150 feet is required, and contains 28,977 square feet, where 60,000 square feet is required in the R60 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Chatham Protected Bylaw.
Okay, and who do we have to present this?
Good afternoon. This is Thad Eldridge with East Southeast.
Okay, Thad, we can hardly hear you.
Well, let me get a little closer to my computer, and how's this?
That's much better, thank you.
Excellent. I'm just in rage. So Thad Eldridge, East Southeast. Ben Morgan is on the line. So as Sarah has mentioned, the proposal is to redevelop the subject property. It's to, thank you, Sarah. The bulk of the house is the existing home. It's going to be built on the same foundation. The existing garage on the north side of the building is going to be taken down and an addition put there. And then to the west, a garage addition will be placed. So to go through the criteria.
Please do.
The adequacy of the size of the site, we are going from 1761 square feet to 2534 square feet. We are under the 3,000 square foot allowed coverage. Compatibility of the size of the structure with neighboring properties. The largest home in the vicinity is just over 3,000 square feet. The average is about 2260, which puts us just above average, but still well below the largest home in the area. Incidentally, the other Morgan property in the neighborhood right next door is about the same size. For the extent of the proposed increase in the non-conforming nature, there will be no increase in the non-conforming nature of the structures. It's the lot that is non-conforming, and there's not much we can do about that. The structure itself will meet all of the dimensional setbacks and the coverage requirement and the building height requirement. The suitability of the site, we have a minimal impact on the neighboring properties. Mr. Morgan was kind enough to speak with the immediate abutter where the driveway will be adjacent to, and they're excited to have a better garden. There is minimal regrading that's required. The nearest wetlands are more than 100 feet from the property. Stormwater runoff will be contained on the site. From the driveway in particular, within the looped driveway, there's a low point for stormwater runoff, and in the backyard, there'll be a low point put in. to ensure that stormwater runoff maintains on the site. So the proposed building is a 2-story, where a 1-story with a reasonable attic exists today. It will be set back from the road more than the 40-foot required, and the style is compatible with the neighboring properties. The proposed uses are residential, compatible with a residential neighborhood. The property is served with a Title V septic system. The health agent has identified, and we've also shown on the plan, that the septic tank will have to move with this, that there's plenty of pitch to be able to do so. Town water exists, and the drainage is proposed to infiltrate into the sandy soils. There's no change or impact on the traffic flow. No noise or litter is anticipated. The utilities are adequate. We're not a formula-based business, and we're not in the floodplain. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much, Thad. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this proposal? If so, please indicate now so that Sarah can see you.
I see no one wishing to speak in favor.
Okay, I will now read the correspondence. First of all, from Judith Giorgio, our health agent. She writes on 10/6, I have reviewed the proposed plan. The proposal will replace the existing 3-bedroom dwelling with a new 3-bedroom dwelling. The house and pool area will encroach on the existing septic tank. A plan for moving the septic tank must be submitted and permit issued prior to construction. Then we have a letter. This was written on October 6th. It is from Ethan Shepard and Marianne Flood. They write, we are the owners of the property located at 298 Chipping Stone Road. Our property abuts property currently under your consideration across the rear property line. We are responding to your notification of the hearing concerning the demolition and reconstruction. We must express our concern on 2 fronts. Number 1, that the lot in question does not meet the frontage requirement by more than 33% and contains less than 50% of the total square footage that is required in the R60 zoning district. Number 2, that in increase of almost 44% in the square footage of the building coverage, that's 1,761 square feet, up to 2,534 square feet, although up to 3,000 square feet is allowed, would cause the proposed dwelling to impinge upon our abutting property line beyond legal setbacks due to the nonconformity of the lot itself, and potentially impact the environment through the reduction of permeable surface area. While we have no objections to anyone choosing to improve their home or property as they see fit under the guidance of the ZBA, we would strongly object to any alteration that would be detrimental to either our privacy, property values, or the environmental conditions of the area. Not having seen any plans pertaining to the proposed alterations of the future footprint of the proposed dwelling with regard to adjacent properties, we have only the article sent to us by the ZBA, which states it to be considered a substantial alteration, and also that a special permit is required. We strongly urge the ZBA to thoroughly review this application being presented in terms of impact upon adjacent properties such as ours, and take into consideration the impact of the Cape environment of reducing the amount of permeable surface on a lot that is less than 50% in size of the current zoning requirements to support such a dwelling. Then we have email. This is from Ann Rydell. Her address is 306 Chipping Stone Road. She wrote on September 23rd, unfortunately, I've been unable to attend the meeting. However, I sincerely support work suggested for the property 187 Round Cove. That again was Ann Rydell, Chipping Stone Road. And then we have a note. This is from Elizabeth Walker and Homer Walker. They write on September 21st. We as abutters offer our highest approval and strong support for Ben Morgan's application to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a new dwelling on the non-conforming lot, which is located directly behind our property. In addition, Mr. Morgan's previous construction/renovation projects that we have seen and his excellent reputation demonstrate that he is a master builder of the highest quality who improves and invests in this community house by house. Thank you for contacting us. And that's the extent of the correspondence. Is there anyone in the audience who would like now to either speak against or raise a question on this? If so, please indicate to Sarah you would like to speak.
I see no one that wishes to speak in opposition.
Okay, Thad, did you want to address the first correspondence from Mr. Shepherd and Mrs. Flood? Apparently, they didn't get to see the plans. Have they seen it subsequent to the writing of this letter?
I am unsure if they've seen it. But I can say our proposed structure is 71 feet from their property line. And in that corner, there's very little work and most of that vegetation will remain. That will keep their vegetated buffer, that they're basically equal to what they have for a vegetated buffer on their side.
I say, okay. So you disagree with the idea that the proposed dwelling would impinge upon their property line?
We're far greater than the 25 feet required.
Okay. Okay, very good. So let's go to questions from the board. Can we start with Dennis?
Dennis Sullivan, I have no questions.
Dave Thompson?
No, I have no questions. I was just thinking about Ms. Flood and Mr. Shepherd. It's too bad they hadn't gotten to see what is going to be installed next to them, built next to them. It's very sad. I have no more questions.
Yeah, and if they had contacted Sarah, she could have sent them a copy of the plans and all that. So, you know, they didn't.
Just so any future people coming or abutters are aware, all of the plans are posted on the town's website for any hearings with the Zoning Board of Appeals. So that way they can access it because they aren't able to come into the office currently.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Questions, Dave Veach?
David Veach has no questions.
Paul?
Paul Semple, I have no questions. I would just observe, I think that the people at 298 Chipping Stone probably would be reassured after seeing the plans and hearing the hearing here. It looks as if this will comply with all of our requirements. So I don't think it should be a problem. I will observe that Mr. Morgan must be expecting an awful lot of snow because there's a plow in that driveway, which is big. And if we have enough snow for that to be of real use, we're in trouble.
Well, maybe he's got the contract with 28, you never know.
Yeah.
Megan? Any questions?
I have no questions. I agree. I think it's a beautiful project.
Okay, and I have no questions. Paul, we need a motion.
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, David Veach, how do you vote?
Despite the concerns expressed by one of the neighbors, this meets all the setback requirements, and it's a definite improvement.
We're not into deliberations yet.
What's that?
I said we're not into deliberations.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave. I'm confused. I guess.
That's all right. We're voting here to go into deliberations.
All right. Thank you. Veach votes yes.
All right, Paul.
Semple votes yes.
Votes yes to go into deliberations.
Okay, Megan.
Megan votes yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Now we'll have. Can we start with? Mr. Veach.
Oh, I take back everything I just said. No, this is a real improvement over what's there. It's a nicely designed structure. It meets all the setback and lot coverage requirements of the zoning bylaw. And the only reason this is before us is because the lot is not conforming. And I think they've done what they can to meet the requirements of the bylaw. So I don't think that I think the neighbors, once they see what's going to happen here, will be pleased with it. At least I hope they will. And it's not substantially more detrimental, meets all of our criteria, and I will support it.
Paul,
This is Paul Semple. I agree with Mr. Veach's comments.
Buck,
Yeah, I like the proposal in that it's not requiring the maximum coverage of the lot. It's certainly modest in size, and the style and design will be a complement to the neighborhood. So I'm supporting it.
Dennis,
Dennis Sullivan, yeah, from a streetscape, I think it looks beautiful. If I were voting, I certainly would vote in favor of it.
Megan,
I think it's beautiful. I have had the pleasure of seeing Mr. Morgan's other work. It's gorgeous. I think the neighbors are going to be sad that they sent in a letter that was not supporting the project. So I definitely will vote yes.
Dave Thompson.
I would definitely vote yes. The home that's there right now looks very, very tired. It does need to be replaced. This is a beautiful, beautiful addition to the neighborhood. If I was voting, I would definitely vote yes.
Okay, and I 100% agree with all of the comments. Mr. Veach, do you think we need any conditions on this?
I think that we could, as just a matter of course, include the construction vehicles contained to the site. I mean, given that the family owns the adjoining lot, I'm sure there won't be any problems, but we do allow for them with the approval of abutters to park elsewhere. So I think we could include that standard one, but I don't think we want to be trying to control summer construction in this location.
Does anyone differ from Dave's opinion? Okay, good. Then Paul, can we have a motion, please?
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to approve the application as submitted with the condition that all construction activity and vehicles be contained on site.
David Veach, second.
Okay, then we will take a vote. Megan?
Story votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Paul?
Semple votes yes.
Dave Veach?
Veach votes yes.
And I also vote yes. Thank you, Thad, very much. That's a unanimous decision.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now we come to Little Beach. Sarah, do we have a withdrawal or not?
No, I do need to read application number 20-023, Morris Island Nominee Trust, care of William F. Raleigh Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633, owner of property located at 47 Little Beach Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 16A, Block 27, Lot H44. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a non-conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the demolition of the existing dwelling and the construction of a new dwelling. Also proposed is the construction of a new driveway as allowed by special permit under section 4A3D of the bylaw. The existing dwelling is non-conforming and that it is located 30.3 feet and 12.8 feet from Little Beach Road, negative 1.7 feet from the southwesterly abutter, and within the Coastal Conservancy District. The proposed dwelling will be non-conforming in that it will be located 7 feet and 0.1 feet from Little Beach Road, where a 40-foot setback is required, 0.7 feet from the southwesterly abutter, where a 25-foot setback is required, and will remain within the Coastal Conservancy District, where a 50-foot setback is required. The existing building coverage is 695 square feet, and the proposed building coverage is 1,152 square feet, where 2,800 square feet is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming in that it contains 0 square feet of buildable upland where 20,000 square feet is required, and contains 4,970 square feet where 40,000 square feet is required in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Sections 6 and 9, and Sections 5B and 8D2B of the Chatham Protective Bylaw. This was continued from July 9th, 2020.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Bill Riley on behalf of the trust. A little discombobulated here with the coronavirus quarantine thing I'm going through. I had actually prepared an email, which I thought I had sent, requesting a continuance of this to December 3rd.
We did receive an email dated yesterday requesting a continuance to December 3rd, 2020.
Okay, and Mr. Riley or Sarah, would you like to explain the reason for continuance?
Well, I'm happy to explain it, Dave. I mean, the existing building is over the property line, and the application was based on the fact that we would be shifting the building north, so it would be located entirely on its own lot. As a result of our dealings with the neighbors, it was important to them that the house actually move south. And so the current design, which is shown on the site plan we just used one site plan for both properties. The building is 13 feet on the 53 Little Beach lot. And Sarah correctly pointed out that the notice did not disclose that, and they thought it was a significant change, which I would agree it is, and therefore would have to be re-advertised. And so that's why I'm requesting the continuance.
Okay, and the request is to what date?
December 3rd, that was the one suggested by Sarah.
Okay. December 3rd, okay.
That's the earliest agenda we have available at this point.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Riley, can I bring up a subject? And the subject is, we've been getting a lot of late submissions from your clients. And I know it's your clients, but as you know, everything is supposed to be, any change or whatever it might be, is supposed to be in the hands of Sarah, in this case, a week before the hearing. And we're not getting that. So I hope that you will urge your clients to make sure they understand dates and that the information for any change whatsoever, such as new plans like this was, would be in Sarah's hand. You know, here I'm thinking ahead to our next hearing date, which is 2 weeks from today in Avalon Point. So I hope that those plans are in everybody's hands by, I guess that would be what, the 16th or whatever the date is.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I believe the site plans were delivered either yesterday or today. And the Karen Kempton has modified the house plans, and she was sort of aiming for early next week, but she just emailed me the completed plan, so those will be filed tomorrow morning.
Great, thank you very much. So that addresses my ongoing concern. Thank you. All right, so you have asked for a continuance until December 3rd. Do any board members have any questions about this or any thoughts about it? If so, just speak up. I'm not hearing anyone. So Paul, would you make a motion, please?
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to grant the request for continuance to December 3rd, 2020.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, we need to take a vote on that. Megan?
Megan votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Paul?
Semple votes yes.
Dave Veach?
Veach votes yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. December 3rd it is.
Thank you.
The next one, Sarah?
Application number 20-024, Morris Island Nominee Trust, care of William F. Riley Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 53 Little Beach Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 16A, Block 26, Lot H 52. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a non-conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot via the demolition of the existing dwelling and construction of a new dwelling. Also proposed is the construction of a new driveway as allowed by special permit under section 4A3D of the bylaw. The existing dwelling is non-conforming and that it is located 32.5 feet from Little Beach Road and within the Coastal Conservancy District. The proposed dwelling will be non-conforming and that it will be located 29.6 feet from Little Beach Road where a 40-foot setback is required and will remain within the Coastal Conservancy District where a 50-foot setback is required. The existing building coverage is 1,412 square feet, and the proposed building coverage is 1,806 square feet, or 2,800 square feet is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming, and it contains 0 square feet of buildable upland where 20,000 square feet is required, and contains 28,900 square feet, or 40,000 square feet is required in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Sections 6 and 9, and Sections 5B and 8D 2B of the Chatham Protective Bylaw. This was continued from July 9th, 2020.
Mr. Riley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Since our last meeting, the applicant has engaged in conversations with the neighbors who were in opposition at the last meeting, Janet Lonergan and Kermit Eaton. And they each had specific concerns, which the applicant has attempted to address. And I believe that, there's correspondence in your file from each of those folks expressing support for the modifications that we proposed. One of the things that the board members had talked about at the last meeting was the size of the structure at 53. And I just wanted to, so we've looked at this situation kind of 6 ways from Sunday. And the point I'd like to make is that if you look at an assessor's map, and I think Thad's got one that he can send in. Thad, are you on there?
I am.
Okay. Why don't you have a discussion with Sarah so you can show up that stuff you put up?
I just emailed her that plan.
Okay.
So is it just from the town's assessment map? Because I can pull that up on my computer right now.
I just emailed you a PDF that shows the building footprints in the neighborhood.
Okay, give me 1 second to just log into my email.
Okay, so while that's going on, when you look at the assessor's map, it becomes obvious why this lot is assessed at over $1.5 million, and the lots, even Mr. Eaton is assessed at 900,000, and so if you look at this map, you can see that 53 and Mr. Eaton's fall in line with a whole series of lots, all of which are considered oceanfront or waterfront. And each of those lots is assessed beginning up, I stopped at Windmill, which is 5 houses up, but each of those lots is assessed between 1.8 and 1.5 million, with the exception of Kermit Eaton's, which is assessed at 900,000. And and the lots that are in green, they're assessed at around 500,000 or 600,000. And so Mr. Paretsky, using the valued legal services of Riley and Norcross, sought an abatement because we thought we were in that $500,000 or $600,000 assessment area. And because of how we line up with the other houses, our application for abatement was denied. And so and if you look at those houses, they're all substantially larger. In fact, Thad did an average, if you see down there in the lower right-hand corner of the gold colored ones, and the average footprint is 2,000 square feet, more or less. And so, ours is, I'm drawing a blank.
We're going from 1412 to 1806.
Right, so we're 1806. So so our house, again, in that line, is actually below the average footprint of all those buildings. And I don't know if it's going to resonate with the members or not, but the lot's worth $1.8 million or so, at least in the opinion of the assessors. And so Mr. Paretsky, would like to put a building on it that's appropriate for that value, and also to take advantage of, the fact that it's waterfront. And so rather than being compared to the structures that we have in green on the west side of Little Beach, if you compare our structure to the buildings it's in line with, we're actually very much compatible in size with all those structures. And it gives the Paretsky family a building that's commensurate with the value of the property. And Mr. Paretsky has been coming to Chatham summers since he was a child, and now he's married and a father of 3. And his goal is to spend the summers in this house at 53 Little Beach Road. So I think when you look at this house, this design, from that perspective, it's actually a very reasonable design. Now in terms of changes to the structure, the building actually had 2,100 square feet when you counted the lofts that existed inside the existing structure. And so to have a house for his 3 children and his wife and himself, we felt this design by Mark Zebrat was suitable and was not unreasonable. And because of the comments of Janet Lonigan regarding the type of construction and the design, they changed the design. So from their perspective, at least, they think it's it's a single style, kind of Cape style structure. The building itself, from top of foundation to the ridge, is only increasing in height by 5 feet. Naturally, it's going up a lot more than that because we're elevating it out of the floodplain. And so elevating the structure out of the floodplain is actually a benefit to the neighborhood, because the town encourages the buildings to be elevated. And the reason they do that is that structures that are in the floodplain in a flood event can cause damage to adjoining properties. So the town encourages people to elevate them. Now, elevating a structure costs $100,000 and up. And the construction, with the lower level, all requires pressure treated lumber. It's all very expensive stuff. And so, the trying to keep things in balance, you end up with a bigger house, because if you're spending all this money, you should have a bigger house. Now, I mean, although the building's tall, it's actually about a foot below the maximum height. In terms of horizontal expansion, the width of the house has only been expanded by 7 feet along the back side. I mean, it's so, when you sort of drill down on the numbers and understand, the valuation of the property as set by the town, and when you look at the assessor's map and you see how it lines up with all those other waterfront homes, you can understand why the town would assess it that way. So I think if you take into account the fact that the neighbors who were most opposed, Kermit Eaton and Janet Lonigan, are now sending letters of support. I hope you'll agree with me that although it represents, a significant change in the structure, that it's not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing structure. And I suppose there's a chance, I think there's a letter from Mr. Driscoll that suggests some views are blocked, but I don't know that, if we elevate the structure, whether it's a full 2-story or a 1.5, I imagine that some of his views are going to be blocked no matter what we do. And so I guess sort of to wind it up a little, the town has a policy encouraging people to elevate their homes. It's a very expensive process. And, in return for spending that level of money to accomplish a goal established by the town, they should be able to construct something that reflects the costs that they have to incur to do that. So, I'd be happy to go through the criteria, but you might have some questions. You might want to talk about it before we go to the criteria.
Well, I think you should do the criteria now.
Okay. All right, so adequacy of the size of the site, including but not limited to maximum lot or building coverage and setbacks. So we're in the floodplain, so there's theoretically none of that, but our lot is 33,000 square feet, and the coverage I've got here from TAD is 6%. No, it says 8.7%. It's actually lower than that. And and so we don't impinge on any neighbors. We have setbacks that are generous for the neighborhood. You're 25 feet from Little Beach Road, and try to see the number here. 60 feet from the lot to the north, and several hundred feet out towards the ocean. So I think that the site is adequate for the proposed structure. Compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. This depends where you pick your neighborhood. As you come into Little Beach, all the structures on the right-hand side or all but one, I believe, have been modified and substantially enlarged. And those enlargements are in keeping with, in terms of footprint, in keeping with our proposal. As I indicated, we're below the average. And so, you've got the Pelletier house, the Chipman house, the Dugan built a big house. So, we're, as I say, we're compatible in size with those structures. The extent of the proposed increase, the non-conforming nature, well, because this is a conservancy district, increasing the living area of the structure constitutes intensification of a nonconformity. Suitability of the site, including but not limited to impact on neighboring properties and on the natural environment, including slopes, vegetation, wetlands, groundwater, water bodies, and stormwater runoff. This structure is going to be built in accordance with an order of conditions issued by the Conservation Commission. We have met with them several times. We're going back again later on this month. This property in particular, there's a concrete wall that you can see on the plan that's up on the screen that's been there for generations, I guess. I have no idea how long it's been there. It's been there a long time. And so, yeah, thank you. And so so having a home of this size in that location, we think the site is suitable. The impact of scale, siting, and mass on the neighborhood visual character, including views, vistas, and streetscapes. Again, we're elevating the building, which means it's going up. Thad can tell me how much it's going up.
I can call that up.
Yeah, I mean the floodplain in there is 15, I think.
The existing roof is going up by 6.3 feet. The building itself, the existing first floor is at 12.6. It's going up to 15, or an increase of 2.4 feet.
Okay, so basically it's going up 8 feet. I think in terms of streetscape, Mark Zebrat design is a handsome design and very traditional. It's, as I say, that as you drive down Little Beach Road from Morris Island Road, the homes on both sides are substantially larger. If you drive down Seagull Lane, or if you drive around on Morris Island Road, the old Horn cottages are substantially smaller and on much, much smaller lots. So so it depends where your neighborhood is. I think our neighborhood is the water side of Little Beach Road and Windmill Lane, as shown on that assessor's map. So I think we're very much in keeping with the neighborhood visual character. As I say, that some properties may may have their view impacted by the house, but I think particularly the homes that are further back, they have views around the house now, and I think the fact that the structure's being elevated out of the floodplain is what's affecting their views, if in fact their views are affected. So we think that there are changes, certainly. We think the house is more attractive. The design is clearly more attractive than the existing structure. And so we believe that this is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing structure. Compatibility of the proposed use with neighboring uses. So it's a single family neighborhood and this is a single family structure. So we are compatible. Adequacy of the method of sewage disposal, source of water and drainage. Drainage is not an issue, but we are going to be constructing a brand new septic system. Again, which is, working with the Board of Health and the Conservation Commission. Impact on traffic flow and safety, we're at the end of the road. So I don't think we have any impact on traffic flow and safety. Noise and litter, again, it's, really going to be used by the Peresky family. So we expect no increase in noise and litter. And again, the utilities and other public services are clearly adequate. So that would be our presentation. Thad is available if you have questions.
Okay, thank you. So I would ask if there's anybody in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this. If so, please indicate to Sarah now that you would like to speak. Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman? Yes?
Eaton? I just like to clarify, I support this, but I just like to clarify a couple of things that Mr. Riley said, just with regards to my lot. My lot is, according to the assessors, is 9,147 square feet, considerably smaller than this. My house is square footage of 1,895 square feet. And so it's considerably smaller. We built that house on that lot with the identical footprint that was there before. So those are just differences. This lot size is 28,900 square feet, and deservingly could support a bigger house. But that's just some clarification. Beyond that, I still support Mr. Peresky's position on that house.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor?
I see no one else that wishes to speak in favor.
Okay, so I will now read the correspondence. We did get a note from Callie Harper, the conservation agent, but she did not mention 53 Little Beach, only 47. So
we did get a subsequent letter that was not in your packet. 53 Little Beach was also continued to the October 14th meeting of the Conservation Commission.
So then we received a note. This was from Joanne and Daniel Lonergan. And their address is, I'm not too sure what their address is, but.
Yeah, they're on Little Beach.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Okay. Well, anyway, October 6th, they write, we're writing to express our support for the revised plans. Upon review of the updated plans, we are now able to support the proposed plans, given the adjustments to the position of the two new homes on their lots and design modifications made by the developer. We no longer feel that they will be detrimental to the neighborhood. We appreciate the developer's ability and willingness to make adjustments. The plans we are referring to are attached below, and so on and so forth. Okay.
They are located at 30 Little Beach Road.
Okay, thank you, 30 Little Beach. And then we have a note, a letter rather, from Janet and Bill Dugan, D-U-G-A-N, and their address is 16 Little Beach Road. And they have written about both 47 and 53. I'll only read the information about 53. They say setbacks. The proposed structure fails to meet the requirements and exceeds the 32.5 yard setback of the existing house. Building height. The proposed house has the same problem as described above, which would have been the proposed structure would be higher than any of the other homes fronting on Little Beach Road. The height of this new home should be limited to the height of the other homes on Little Beach Road, which is 30 feet above the level of the street. If it is allowed to be higher than the other homes on Little Beach Road, this would not fit in with the rest of the neighborhood and would have a negative impact on the value of the other homes on our street. Then they write about a dumpster. The property has had a metal commercial dumpster located in the public right-of-way that is Little Beach Road. This dumpster has had a negative impact on the appearance of our neighborhood. Please prohibit dumpsters from this project. And then we have blocking the right-of-way. The dumpster and parked vehicles have at times blocked the public right-of-way that's Little Beach Road. Please prohibit this development from blocking the public from its right to use the right-of-way to access lot 165, which is south of 53 Little Beach Road and the beach. Then we have a specific letter from Janet Dugan, and she writes, she forwarded a letter is what she did from David Gove, beneficiary of the Roberta Gove Trust, owner of lot 169, abutter to 53 Little Beach Road. And this was on October 6th. And it looks pretty much like the letter that we received, Mr. and Mrs. Dugan, but I will just make sure.
There are subtle differences in the letter. I did ask the letter writer if they wanted it to be read into the record. They said yes, they would like it read in its entirety because it is slightly different from the previous letter submitted.
Okay. So they write, or this is again the board, they write, the proposed structure fails to meet the requirements and is less than the 32.5 yard setback of the existing house, front yard. The proposed new house is 25 feet from our property line. However, the plans indicate that there is an air conditioning system, which is an integral part of the house that breaches the 25-foot limit. The current building is approximately 33 feet from our property line. Building height, proposed house has the same problem as described above at 47, where they said the proposed structure would be higher than any of the other homes fronting on Little Beach Road. The height of this new home should be limited to the height of the other homes on Little Beach Road, which is 30 feet above the level of the street. If it is allowed to be higher than the other homes on Little Beach Road, this would not fit in with the rest of the neighborhood and would have a negative impact on the value of other homes on our street. The height of this home will block the view of the Chatham Lighthouse from a great portion of our property. Then they write about the dumpster. Proposed house has the same problem as described for 47. Well, the dumpster, they say, the property has had a metal commercial dumpster located in the public right-of-way that is Little Beach Road. This dumpster has had a negative impact on the appearance of our neighborhood. Please prohibit dumpsters from this residential project. This dumpster is blocking our access to lot 169 and may limit access of emergency vehicles if we had a beach emergency. Blocking the right-of-way. The dumpster and parked vehicles have at times blocked the public right-of-way. There's Little Beach Road. Please prohibit this development from blocking the public from its right to use the right-of-way to access lot 169, which is south of 53 Little Beach Road. Shared septic. There is a proposed shared septic system for 47 and 53, which is an indication that the houses are being built on lots too small for them. Reserve area. In the plans, there is a proposed reserve area within 10 feet of our property. We object to this reserve area. Thank you. And again, that was forwarded to us from Janet Dugan from the Gores. Okay. Next, we have This is a letter from Kermit Eaton on October 1st. And Jean and Kermit Eaton live at 13 Little Beach Road. After the 7-9 CBA meeting, Mr. Boreski contacted us to discuss the concerns expressed by the abutters and said he would request his engineer to take these concerns into consideration on the resubmittal. On 9/28, Mr. Boreski emailed us the plans that will be submitted to the ZBA. Based on our review, we are pleased with the changes. 20 to 23, that's lot 47. This building, well, we know, I won't read that. 20 to 24, lot 53. This building has also been moved westerly from the previous submission with a contrasting design and, in our opinion, consistent with other homes in the area. While the footprint and square footage remain about the same as the previous submission, we do not have concerns on that issue because the other accommodating changes Mr. Boreski has made. We support the proposed plans we reviewed on 9/28. We request that the ZBA add a condition that the concrete barriers be screened as was done on lot 46 with appropriate vegetation. We believe Mr. Boreski will agree. I have an email from Brendan Driscoll. And he is the trustee for Lighthouse Realty Trust, which is 157 Morris Island Road, and also the manager of Clamshell Cottages, which are 20 and 22 Clamshell Drive. He writes on October 8th, I am emailing regarding the proposal of Morris Island Nominee Trust to demolish and construct 2 new homes on Little Beach Road. After reviewing the drawings, I am concerned about the scale of the homes setbacks as currently proposed. I fully support investments in the neighborhood, but feel that as proposed, the houses are too large and aren't appropriately based on the lot size. And then we have 2 other letters. First one is from Peter and Susan McConnell, MACCONNELL. They are at 191 Morris Island Road. On October 8th, they write, we write regarding the proposal of Morris Island Nominee Trust to construct 2 new homes. We are not opposed to raising the 2 existing homes on the site. We are, however, opposed to the scale and mass of the proposal. The proposal for both 47 and 53 dramatically increased the size of the dwellings. We are not opposed to modestly increasing the size of both homes, but the current proposal more than doubles the size of both dwellings. To double the size of each of the 2 houses on the lot is excessive. Once again, we support the raising of the 2 existing homes and construction of 2 new homes, more modest in scale and size than those proposed. Then we have a letter. This is from Charles and Ann Shuey, SCHEWE. Their address is 32 Clamshell Drive. On October 8th, he writes, we're submitting this email with respect to the 2 proposed building sites that have come for your consideration. As residents of the Tom's Neck community for almost 40 years, we've watched as property owners in the area have improved their property and in this way enhanced each other's property. We have reviewed the proposed plans for the 2 structures and visited the sites. We are concerned that each will not mesh with the other residences in the area. The size of the proposed structure for 53 Little Beach Road is particularly alarming, given the sizable square footage of the building. We are also concerned that the height of the buildings will obstruct views, a key consideration in the area's property values of us and other property owners in the area. We are not opposed to new buildings on these 2 sites, but we would like the structures to better conform to the residences in our community. And that is the end of the correspondence. I will now ask for anyone in the audience who wishes to speak either against or has a specific question to so indicate to Sarah that you would like to speak.
We have several people on the meeting, but nobody is raising their hand or speaking up, so I believe we can proceed.
Okay, very good. Mr. Riley, did you want any rebuttal against the various letters against the proposal?
Yes, I would. with regard to Janet Dugan and David Gove, in fact, they are brother and sister, the children of Roberta Gove. The lot that David Gove is making reference to as being next door to our property, excuse me, is a completely unbuildable lot. The fact that our house is going to block the light flashing on a very small portion of that lot seems somewhat irrelevant, because they're never going to build on it because it's a wetland, and it's assessed at $30,800. Now, it might surprise you to learn that Mr. Gove spoke directly to Mr. Paretsky and offered to sell him the lot for $1.3 million. In return, Mr. Gove would not object. So Mr. Paretsky offered to buy the lot for $60,000, which is twice the assessed value, having in mind that he can never build on it. And that offer was rejected. And so I think that the letters from Janet Gove Dugan and David Gove should be completely ignored. Now, I didn't see the Peter McConnell letter. I know Peter's. I know you do, Dave.
Uh-huh.
And
yeah,
the
he came and handed it to me. That's why you.
That would explain why I didn't see it. In any event, if you look on the assessor's map, but Thad, can you put up the assessor's map we were looking at before?
Sarah's on this one.
Okay, all right. So if you see 191 Morris Island Road. Yeah, okay. That's the McConnell residence. And the one thing I'm sure of is we're not blocking any of his views over at 53 Little Beach. I understand his concerns about the size of the house. But again, looking at this assessor's map, if you see how we line up with all the other homes that are larger in average than our proposed structure is, you can understand why. Mr. Driscoll's properties, you can see 20 and 22 Clamshell Drive. Two little cottages. He rather cleverly put a deck between the two of them. It's very, very cute. But again, to the extent they have views off to the east, no matter what the height of our house, elevating the existing house would have the same effect on their views. Again, I appreciate his concerns. I think that the concerns about massing, I suppose, make more sense. But again, you have plenty of other spaces. Now, the Thad had done a satellite picture, a series of satellite pictures. Do you have those, Thad?
I do. Could I take control, Sarah?
I don't think we've ever let anyone do that before, so I may need to allow that someone.
Conversation all the time, Sarah.
Can you do a share your screen, Thad? Or the aerials I have are the 2014 aerials, which I just had up. Oh, there we go.
These are.
Okay, I have. So these are 2005 aerials, and that done right. So I can swipe through and show the 2019 aerials.
And I want to show the board members the earlier aerials.
The 2005 are here. I also have 95 and 2014 loaded.
Show me 1995 then.
Anywhere in particular, Bill?
Well, going up along Windmill for sure. There you go. What year is that?
This is 1995.
Okay, so can you enlarge that at all? So if the board members will, oops. That just makes it fuzzy. So the thing to look at is you can see Little Beach Road comes straight down from Morris Island Road, and you see these structures that are now Chipman and Pelletier and the buildings on Windmill, which is the T, that they all front on the beach. And if as you see where Kermit Eaton's house is there, right there. So now if we could go from that to the 2014 or 2019, and you'll see the there you go. Very classy, Tad.
Oh yeah.
You see how the structures are so much larger today than those original structures. And so, we think that, there's been a pattern here, particularly along the water side, for constructing larger homes because the land there is, expensive and more valuable. And so you see the foundation there, that's the Chandler property. That was one that we approved. We went through the zoning board, I don't know, 3 years ago. It was originally Jack and Muriel Horn's home. And as you can see, the footprint is significantly larger. And and it's, it's a full 2 stories with a big roof deck on the backside and stuff. So it's going to be cool. But the point is that, the value of the lot justifies, the changes here. And that's why you got those 2 little ones there that are owned by that Chipman, the 2 little cottages there on Little Beach, Dad.
Yes.
So those have both been demolished now because they're going to build a big house there. Which I believe has already been approved by the board. So we think that our proposed change is in keeping with these changes here, all on the east side of Little Beach and Windmill. And so it's really, and we're bigger than the houses over on the west side, which were all the little horn cottages and on tiny postage stamp lots. And we have 33,000 square feet. And we do have a full second story, which I think is what Peter McConnell was concerned about. But there's a lot of land around us, and we're not blocking a view corridor that's going to prohibit people from looking out towards the water. And candidly, you don't even know how many of those houses actually see the water because there's a lot of tree growth between them and the water. In any event, I think that, in the final analysis, our proposal is not substantially more detrimental than the existing structure. With this picture of it, you have to take a look at Mr. Gove's lot. oh yeah, let's buy that one. Completely unbuildable. Anyway, the we're, the horse is dead. I keep beating it. I apologize, but I hope you'll consider those things. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now have questions from the board. So let's start with Paul.
This is Paul Semple. One comment that was made by one of the letters was that the proposal doubles the size of the existing house. Is that correct?
Essentially, the answer is yes, because it's a full second story. So yes, that's, I would have to say that's accurate.
Okay. And am I correct in reviewing these plans? It looks to me as if the lot coverage or the house size basically is the same as was presented at the last hearing, but with changes to the exterior design and some interior changes.
That's also correct.
Okay.
And I know that, you made comments at the last meeting that, well, this is a house that, you couldn't build it there, and, it doesn't seem right that you should be able to double the size. I think, I think you have to go through a different analysis here, because the fact is the house is already there. It's been there for years, and you have to go through the math of elevating it, and the fact that the town changed its bylaw specifically so that you could make lateral expansions when you're elevating these structures. So, but thank you.
And this is in an AE zone. What's the difference between an AE and VE zone?
The AE is what they call a still water flood zone. So there are no strong currents or large waves. A VE zone is a velocity zone where you would anticipate large waves and strong currents.
Mm-hmm. The ordinance is specific about the fact that in a VE zone, you cannot expand the size of the footprint.
Right.
It's not so clear with respect to AE zones.
Well, with all due respect, you had to be familiar with the previous bylaw, which specifically said you could not expand the building. And that was when they rewrote the bylaw, which was aimed at getting people to elevate their homes. That language was taken out. And the conversation at the time was, that lateral expansion was going to be allowed now under the bylaw.
But was the discussion at that time to allow lateral expansion to the extent necessary to elevate?
No. The one reason for allowing a lateral expansion is that when you elevate these homes, the cellar space it can't be used for anything. You can put a car in them, but you can't have any electrical items down there other than dead storage. So people who would typically have had the laundry or the boiler or the other mechanical systems located in the basement now had to elevate them up and put them into the main house. And so that was part of the justification. The other part was, well, it would encourage people to elevate the homes if they knew they could expand them.
Okay, so but it's still correct that in the VE zone you cannot expand beyond the actual footprint.
Oh, that's correct, yeah. No,
Yeah.
VE zone is completely different. Yeah, we wouldn't be here if we were in a VE zone.
This is that a insurance agent once told me the A zone is awful, the V zone is very, very bad. So we avoid V zone construction whenever we can.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that. The part of the difficulty with this particular lot is the fact that as you approach it, it's already elevated. It's like it's on a knoll, so that when you then add 6 or 8 feet on top of what is there already, you end up with a building that's very prominent. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we're elevating the building. Dad said 2.4 feet. That's the upper foundation is going up 2.4 feet. And in the ridge as measured from top of foundation to the ridge, it's going up 6 feet, Dad? Is that what you said?
It's about 7 feet.
Okay, so, yeah, I would not disagree with the characterization of it as prominent.
The design change, I guess all the designs are in the eye of the beholder. To me, the new design is not as attractive as the old design, in that it looks a little bit like an apartment building as you look at that northwest elevation A versus what was proposed originally on 53 Little Beach Road. But I take it that this is more compatible with what some of the neighbors wanted.
Right. As you say, the beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I happen to agree with you and your assessment of this, but they wanted the shingle look, and they got shingles, boy. So.
And if I may, this is that again. The shared septic system between the buildings is elevated, and that's only going to help diminish the look, the height, as you're on Little Beach Road proper. The way in front of this is more of a walking path than actually where people drive. But that raised septic system is going to make this look a little more normal.
Okay, I don't think I have any further questions.
Okay, Buck, do you have any questions?
I'll take a stab at it. I had a question for Thad. Is there somewhere on this print that designates a conservancy district, or there is none?
No,
the entire site is located within the floodplain. It's all conservancy district.
Oh, so if there wasn't a house here, would they be able to build one?
No, that's a question that Paul raised at the last meeting, and the answer is you might be able to, but the answer is generally probably no. It's only because there's an existing structure there. But if Sarah would move that assessor's map down a little bit, you'll see all of the Horn Cottages area, the Little Beach area, every square foot of it, between Morris Island Road out to the dike and back this way, every square inch is in an AE zone. And not to point out how old I am, but when they proposed this bylaw, I pointed out, that they were going to be putting a lot of property, in a conservancy district. And the town meeting, with all its wisdom, of course, went ahead and did it because somebody thought it was a good idea. So, yeah. So but you see, if you want to, go through the list, like the McConnell residence, for instance, has been substantially rebuilt. The Kermit's property was rebuilt. 27 Little Beach Road is now a much larger structure that was rebuilt. 16, which is Janet Dugan's property, was much larger today than it was, and that was just approved a couple of years ago. So, I mean, all these structures have been rebuilt and enlarged, in the AE zone. And so I think sort of that horse has left the barn. Oh, you couldn't have built it here, so we're not going to give you anything. That horse is long gone. So I think the question for the members, is this, proposal substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing structure? And again, as you look at this assessor's map, I mean, it's down here at the end. It's a long way off from all the other houses except ones owned by the Paretsky family. And the reality is that, it's not, it's all right. So, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but it's not hurting anybody. So how is it substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood? So
I think what I'm trying to do is ask some questions to come up with where I stand on it. So
okay.
I think we've heard a little bit of repetition there, and that's okay because I
apologize.
No, I'm getting to the point where I need it to sink in. But I did have a question. It's okay to put fill in the Conservancy District?
No.
Oh,
in many communities, we're allowed to fill within floodplain.
I know, but that's not. We're not many communities. But what Thad was talking about is a septic system. And so for reasons which somehow escape me, but sort of a small town logic, when you're doing a septic system, if you have to bring material in to cover the septic system, they don't count it as fill.
Oh, well, so that was one of the concerns, that the print is rather complex, or maybe there's a better word. I don't have a thesaurus right here, but there's a lot of stuff on the print, and I'm not sure how much of our lay people in town know that the square boxes, which you're referring to for the elevation, showing the 10 and 11 and 13 feet, 12 feet of the new elevation around the septic. But there is a square box on the, I think there's a square box. I might be reading it wrong. Isn't there a square box at the steps of the front door, 9 feet? Or is that?
Yeah, that's correct.
But that's nowhere near the septic, is it?
No.
No.
So at the front door on the right side, it's going to be elevation 9. Under the steps, it drops, and then there's a 6'4" in front of the garage, and then it builds back up again.
Well, you got 2 6s there. You got a 6 in front of the garage, and you got a 6 to the right of the steps. Those, I'm not sure you're allowed.
That's a 9 to the right of the steps. That's a 9.
Oh, all right.
If you follow it around, Buck, you can see at the very southern end of the house, at least on the plan I'm looking at, there's a 9 there. You can see that it follows a 9 contour.
I got it.
Okay.
All right. Well, so the question, you are bringing fill in, though, outside of that necessary for the septic.
No, we're not.
Oh, okay.
This is cutting into the hill for the garage, but the rest of it is all natural grade except for what's needed for the septic system.
All right. But then I wanted to go back to what Paul was talking about, the AE and the VE, and Sarah had a picture up there, maybe at 1,000 or 2,000 feet. How far is the VE zone from this property? There we go. The blue stuff there. I think that's VE.
No, the pink stuff is.
The pink is the VE.
I believe so.
Yes.
All right. And what is the normally on the firm maps, the federal insurance, the VE, they have different elevations. Is that correct?
Yes, so that VE zone has an elevation of 14.
And that would mean there'd be waves. That would be the maximum height of the waves in the VE zone, not the green, but the VE. Those waves would be 14 feet high.
The crest of the wave would be elevation 14.
So that's not a wave that's 14 feet high. That's the elevation of the top of the wave.
I got you. All right. So now 1 mile north of this is Wilkie Way. And if the town website is updated correctly, is it possible the VE elevation at Wilkie Way would be 22 feet?
Yes, it's a different variety of velocity zone. There's a splash that's going to occur against that revetment, and it'll splash up to elevation 22, and then it lands right there. Those splashes are filled with shell, rock, rubble, and basically bullets in the water as it comes down, and that's why they put that there. The other option is that's an over wave run-up where the waves are going to get 2. But if it's 22 with that Wilkie Way, it's probably that splash.
Okay, so, and correct me if I'm wrong, Thad, when you stand at Wilkie Way and look due east, isn't there a barrier beach out there?
There is.
Okay, and when you stand at, well, that doesn't show a barrier beach there. Well, when you're down at Little Beach, and the point I'm trying to make is Little Beach has no barrier beach in front of it.
Well, actually, the Lighthouse Beach extension right now is a barrier beach that's in front of Little Beach.
Can you show me that on the photograph, the aerial there? When I stand at Little Beach and looked out, I didn't see, well, I see the sand from Lighthouse Beach, but I don't see the outer bar, if you will.
Well,
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but how does this?
My concern.
Where are we going with it, Buck? I mean,
my concern is that there's a lot more. There should be or could be a lot more wave action due east of Little Beach than it looks like to me. You got a pretty good storm surge potential coming in and hitting buildings on Little Beach.
And that's why we want to elevate the building. And elevating the building increases the cost. That justifies, at least in our mind, the expansion of the structure.
Right, you're going up to 15 feet, but I don't know if that's enough. Is really, I see a lot of sand there, but I was actually saying to the right of that pond, the little, which is no longer there. So this is an old photograph, obviously. I wish we had a more, is this 2004, Thad?
If that's 2014, if you give him 1 second, I can pull up 2019.
Thank you.
But Buck, the whole point is that it's an AE zone. If we're relying on the flood insurance rate maps, we're mapped, and our regulations prohibit us from elevating more than 1 foot above the base flood elevation. And Thad, what's the so when you're elevating in an AE zone, I think
Well,
the
that
bottom
was,
of
that was actually reinterpreted. So the AE zone that we're in is elevation 13. Under the building code and under the local bylaw, we're required to hit 15. If we were preserving the buildings, we would not be allowed to elevate higher than 1 foot. Because we're going with new buildings, we're allowed to elevate higher, and we're going to elevation 15 for that extra freeboard.
right, and the extra freeboard enables them to reduce their flood insurance premiums. So that's why they do it.
So the question was at the beginning there, how far is the VE zone from the AE zone?
163 feet from the corner of the proposed deck to the nearest point is the velocity zone.
Thank you.
Sure.
There was, I think, no. So, and the last question is for Bill. How many times have you been to conservation on this?
Twice, I think. And at our last meeting, they indicated, they were ready, they thought we were in good shape, but because we knew that there were going to be serious discussions about things, we didn't ask. We knew there was a good chance that the footprint locations would change, so that's why we continued it out till the next conservation meeting, the 26th, I think.
So, well, you just mentioned, I thought I heard you say that the foundations is going to move. Who's moving the foundation?
So, from a design point of view, the building at 53, the original proposal had the building further to the east and cocked a little bit, rather than being completely in line with the house at 47. And that was a problem for Kermit Eaton. So that's why, we didn't move the foundation. We moved the location of the foundation.
Okay, I got it. Thank you. No more questions. Thank you very much, guys.
Dave Veach, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions at this point, Dave. Thank you.
Okay. Megan, do you have any questions?
No, I think a couple of them have been answered. I had a couple with regard to the shared septic and the height of the shared septic, but that answered those, so I think I'm good.
Dennis?
Dennis Sullivan, no, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Dave Thompson?
No, Dave Thompson doesn't have any questions. Thank you very much for asking me.
All right, and I have no questions. So, Paul,
my client, oh, I know. So my client says we're not doubling in size. He's sending me text. Because there are currently lofts in the building, the existing square footage living area is 2,100 square feet. And so what we're adding is 394 square feet of living area. Thank you.
Paul, a motion?
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
David Beach, seconds.
Okay, how do you vote, Dave Veach?
Beach votes yes.
Paul?
Semple votes yes.
Paul?
Buck votes yes.
Megan?
Story votes yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Deliberations. Dave Veach, how do you feel about this?
Well, we've heard a lot about this and spent quite a bit of time on it, and gotten a lot of different viewpoints from neighbors and things. Overall, I'm finding that Mr. Riley's arguments are convincing for me. I think that He's presented this in a way that makes a lot of sense and speaks for some of the reasons for doing what they're proposing to do. Certainly, elevating the building is a no-brainer, and he's correct. The town is encouraging property owners to do that. So that's a given, and there seems to be a lot of question revolving around changing the building, or doing more with the building than what it is currently. And I don't think there's a reasonable argument against allowing them to do that to a certain degree. I guess there may be differences of opinion about how much of that we should consider substantially, or what would be considered substantially more detrimental in the neighborhood. When I look this proposal over, when I look at the changes that have taken place in the neighborhood, many of them with our approvals, I don't find that this is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. I don't think that, I think that there might be individual property owners who have some concerns about loss of view, although I'm not sure that that they really are going to lose that much. But we're charged with protecting neighborhood views and vistas, not those of individual property owners. And I'm hard pressed to see how this proposed changes to this structure are going to significantly impact neighborhood views and vistas. I think that this is in keeping with the some of the kinds of changes that we have seen and approved in other properties in this area. I think that the design was simplified somewhat from what it had previously been proposed, and I think in that sense it's a little more better in keeping with some neighborhood structures and things. So I can find that it meets our criteria and it is not substantially more detrimental in the neighborhood, and I will support it.
Paul, how do you feel?
This is Paul Semple. As Bill has pointed out, I had objections based on the size of the property and the massing when it was presented before. That hasn't substantially changed. What has changed is the exterior presentation and some of the interior designing to deal with bedroom issues and so forth. I'm struggling a bit with the size and the mass that's involved here. There's certainly an intensification of the nonconformity in the sense that we have a bigger building going on in a location that otherwise would not be built on at all. So all of those things combine to present the issues that I'm trying to go through in my own mind. The appearance of the building, when you look at what is there now and you then build higher at that location, and then take the view from there, I have concern we would look back on and say, why did we ever approve that? Because it just is going to look, I think, significantly larger than what is there now and perhaps out of place for where it's located. So I'll be willing to listen to some of the other views of members of the board, but I'm having some hesitation on this one.
Okay, Bob.
Mr. Chair, was that calling for me?
I was, Buck, yes.
Okay, thank you. So with elevating the house, obviously they want to take advantage of the lateral expansion, and then they want to add a second floor going even higher. I'm afraid I feel that even though it maybe is permissible, it's too much, the mass and the scale. Maybe it needs to be redesigned somehow, but in its current format, I find it unacceptable.
Megan?
My advance apologies. My dog is barking. I agree that I think it's a very large scale project for where it is. I do feel a little bit assuaged because I understand now how they're getting a second floor, given the fact that there was a loft there, how they're getting a second floor in with that short of, with only 8 feet, including the raising of the house. But I think that, part of my original concern was all 3 properties. I think dealing with them all in one meeting may not have been to their benefit. I don't know. It's a tough one. I think I don't know. My questions have been answered though, and I think that, talking specifically about whether or not it should be permissible, I think we may be looking at it as permissible. I don't know the answer, so I'm still thinking.
Okay. Dennis, how do you feel about this?
Dennis Sullivan. Well, I'm in the camp where Dave Veach had mentioned, and I won't prolong the conversation any longer because I think past has been died. It doesn't look like the votes are there, but if I were voting, I would have voted in favor of it for a number of reasons. Most of them had already been cited by Dave Veach.
Okay. Okay, Dave Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to side with everything that Dave Veach said. I don't think it's that big. It's a beautiful design. Granted, it's going up a little bit, and I think it's close to 100 square feet larger. It's not that big. That's the way I'm thinking of it. I would vote in favor.
Okay, then we come to my spin on this. I'll be voting against it. 2 things bother me very much. Number one, the idea that somehow the value of the lot would justify changes, that it has to go up at a second store. That doesn't jive with me at all. The value of the lot has to do with being on the water, and you could put a single wide trailer there and you're going to have the same enjoyment. That, this is not a board of tax property value reassessment. So I just have to dismiss that whole idea. Secondly, I object to the idea that the neighborhood we're talking about is only the fancy homes along the water. The neighborhood is the whole Little Beach area. And you've heard from a number of people down there that feel that this is just going to be the massing. The last 2 letters I read, both of those individuals said, hey, we can see new homes being put there, but not something this large. This amount of massing is just too much in relation to all those homes that are on the right side that are part of the neighborhood as the ones on the left side. So when we talk about the neighborhood, it's a whole Little Beach area. It really is. So therefore, is this substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood? I think, Paul, you hit the nail on the head when you said initially, when you were talking about the way these 3 homes were mounded up, or not mounded up, they were built on top of mounds. And so they stand out today. So if I did my math right, what Thad said, this new house of 53 is going to be an extra 9.5 feet. Well, wow. Then if you thought it stands out today, imagine the massing of this going up and going out. It's going to really stand out, and something that when you drive by, you say, I voted for that. Nah, I don't think so. So I believe that this should be turned down. So with that, I would say, Paul?
Well, Mr. Nixon,
Yes, sir.
so you had 2 maybes. How are we doing with those folks?
Well, we'll find out if we take a vote.
Well, I know, but I'd like to take a straw vote.
Okay, I'll do that for you, Mr. Riley. So Dave Veach, you were going to be a yes, correct? Paul, are you a yes or no?
I appreciate the arguments that have been made, but I think I will stick with my no.
Okay, and Buck, I think you indicated. No. Is that correct?
I'm not changing. It's a no.
Okay, Megan, how do you feel?
You know, the one thing that was bothering me was that argument, sort of the argument that because your property is assessed at a high value or perceived, you know, to be a high value, that you are owed something. And I do believe that it will infringe on, you know, the other side of the street. So I'm at a no at this point.
Okay, and that adds up to 4 no's.
But it's a very healthy yes. Can I have 2 minutes to check with my client?
No, I'll give you 30 seconds.
Okay. Okay, we'd like a continuance, please.
Okay, and to what date?
Well, it's going to be another redesign, so I would say, like, what is 6 weeks?
Well, that's, let's see, I think you're coming back already on December 3rd. Is that going to be too soon? Like I mentioned earlier, we don't want to get plans a couple of days before. Would you rather have it in January?
Well, Bill, I will just say the letters that we also got on 47 sort of had the same tone to them from the abutters. You are coming back on December 3rd. I'm just looking on my calendar right now to see what we have available. So December 3rd and December 17th are meetings for then, or we have.
I think the 17th would be fine.
Okay, and you'll be able to provide plans by November 26th. Well,
I've got my crayons out now and I'm already redesigning.
Okay, so what date are we talking about now, Sarah?
December 17th.
3rd. Do you want the 17th or the 3rd? Because you're coming back
17th.
for 47 on the 3rd.
The 17th.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense, I think. Okay.
Besides, it'll be right before Christmas, David. You can give me my Christmas present then.
It's a big lump of coal. Okay. So, Paul, would you make a motion
Yes,
on?
this is Paul Semple. I'll move to continue the application to December 17th, 2020.
Okay, I'll take.
David Veach seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Veach. Vote, please, Mr. Veach.
Veach votes yes.
Paul?
Semple votes yes.
Yep.
Lawson votes yes.
Megan?
Story votes yes.
And I vote yes. That's unanimous. Okay, so we need.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Riley. All right, where'd my little cheat sheet go?
We have the minutes of September 24th.
Yep. Any comments on that?
I did receive corrections from Mr. Semple and Mr. Sullivan, which have been made.
Okay. All right.
Paul Semple, I'll move to approve the minutes as corrected.
David Veach seconds.
Okay, then quickly. Dave Veach?
Veach votes yes.
Semple votes yes.
Buck?
Buck votes yes.
Story votes yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, I don't think, is there any other business anybody bring up? Anybody in the audience, Sarah?
I see no one that's wishing for public comments, so we need a motion to adjourn.
This is Paul Semple. I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, this is roll call of everybody, so we'll start.
Veach votes yes.
Paul,
Sample votes yes.
Buck votes yes.
Megan,
Story votes yes.
Dennis,
Sullivan votes yes.
Dave Thompson, Dave Thompson, you still there?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't unmute. Yes, I have, in both favors.
Okay, and I'm going to vote to adjourn. And Sarah, the official time is?
We are officially adjourned at 5:40 PM.
Very good. Thank you, one and all. Until the next time. Over and out.
Thank you.